Okay, this is going to be our leg drawing, and I'm going to carry on with this drawing just like I did the others. So I'm going to start with gesture through measuring and structure, get sort of a contour line drawing laid down before I start worrying about anatomy. So first thing I'm worried about is just the feel of this pose. This is what I would consider the gesture stage, and I just have to ask myself, does it feel like that pose up there? And I think it does, but there's a problem that I'm having, and that's that I'm going to highlight one leg and not both legs. And right now they're both kind of sharing the spotlight. So I think what I'd prefer to do is let this leg be kind of just over here as a silhouette. As I put this other leg front and center and really flesh it, this forward leg is the one I'm going to draw all the muscles for. And I'd kind of would like it to be a little better centered on the page, because all the attention is going to be on the left side here, and this is going to seem unfinished. So I'm just going to re-gesture. And I'm not going to worry about this original gesture. I'm going to let both of them happen, and that's okay, as long as I can keep track of what I'm up to. So here's my new, this is going to look like a chaos to you. It's going to look like a total mess to you. It's the same thing. I've just kind of set it over. And this background stuff, that first gesture, it'll disappear by the end of the drawing. So if you're one of those types that's like, oh man, I made a weird mark. The drawing it's lost. I have to start on a fresh new sheet of paper. Hopefully through this drawing, you'll see that that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. I'm not going to worry too much about the feet. You can see them there. I'm going to let them kind of drop off, but I do want to put some sense of them in. A good shorthand is big toe to this ball of the foot, maybe the sweep of the toes. All right, let's do some measuring and structuring here. I'm going to check the width of this leg. I think I'm going to use this negative shape between the legs and just make sure I'm on the right track here. This leg is going to be somewhat ignored. This leg is the one I'm fleshing out, so I'm going to make sure that contour, that silhouette edge rather, is reasonable. I've got a really tight intersection right there. I need to smooth it out just a little bit. That feels a little bit better. I can already see that sartorius muscle running down the inside and over to the tibial tuberosity, so I'm just going to kind of indicate that lightly. I'll come back to that. All right, let's measure here. Something down here doesn't feel right. That's my silhouette leg, but still, I don't want it to be feeling weird. I'm missing some contours right through here. I can see in the reference, that part of the quadriceps dives in. There's some overlapping in there that I was missing as well. All right, and I really don't want to, if you let me, I will get carried away and finish this off. I really don't want to do that. That's going to be my shadow leg, my unfinished leg. All right, I think I'm ready to start breaking into some of the anatomy here. I'm going to use maybe some ellipses and just various approaches to dealing with the anatomy. One thing that I'm going to look for in this leg is the divider. I'm always looking for the divider. So are we looking at the TFL, the IT band, the strap here to divide? In this leg, what would we see? That IT band's on the other side. Here we would see sartorius sweeping from ASIS down to the tibial tuberosity in this big S shape. On the inside of that, I've got this bundle of muscles. That's the adductor muscles. Out here, I have this teardrop shape for the quadriceps. So that's kind of my map. I have this S here, bundle there for the adductors, and that teardrop. And that's just about all I can see. So let's take a look at this. Sartorius comes off of ASIS. This bump here is partially sartorius, that bump there, on its way to attaching right about here on the not right on the tibial tuberosity, just a little bit to the side of it. If I can get that divider in, makes my next job a little easier, which is the adductor muscles. I see a little contour in here of them. That's a little bit of the hamstrings back there and a little bit of the gluteus muscle back there. There are several muscles here, so I can kind of indicate that with these lines, but I'm not going to really dress that out too much. They're just going to kind of be oriented this way. That really just leaves my teardrop shape. You can see it here, that flame shape for my quadriceps. There are 3 of them that we can see though, so I should really decide like where is this bulgy inner part, where is the upper one, where's the other side. And what it amounts to for this pose is roughly something like that for the front one. There's like a mini flame shape in here. Let's see, let me be more specific about this shape. Comes down like that, in like this. That sartorius might be a little wider right there. And then I see just a little bit of the other one back here. Not very much of it though. The trochanter we don't see on this leg. We kind of see it where it would be over here, but we're just doing this leg, so the kids are playing. All right, here's the triangle of that big bone, the tibia. So tibial tuberosity is right about here. That tibia or the shin bone, we don't see any muscles crossing over it in this part. There's muscles on this side and muscles on that side, but none that kind of cross over that bone. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. On this side, what do we have? We have gastrocnemius and soleus on this part. There's gastrocnemius up here, soleus down here, and there's a border somewhere between them. And I can see that angle change right about in there. So gastrocnemius goes behind. Soleus is here in front, so it's kind of getting the overlap. There's the medial malleolus. That really only leaves these muscles that go down to the toes. Down here in the foot, they're just a bunch of tendons. Once they get up here, they bulge out and become the digital extensors, the long digital extensors. Digits are just fingers and toes, by the way. So digital extensors, they extend the fingers or the toes. Right. And I'm going to come in and put just a little bit of fiber information on this just to make it, I don't know, a bit more interesting. If you don't know which way the muscle fibers go, like where do they go? Where do they, how should I make these muscle fiber marks? I would refer to handout and a good anatomy reference if you have a book or something. You know, there's a little bit up here at the top. There's a bump up there that I can see that is TFL, and I'm going to include that coming off of ASIS as well, just to dress that hip up a little bit. All right, I'm going to grab my reference and just take a look at these and make sure I'm getting the fiber orientations in a reasonable place. This one's got some reasonable fiber orientations. The nice thing about this book is that it's done by an artist, so it's kind of interpretive. It's not super sterile or clinical. These have a strange, it's almost like the triceps where there's a strap there. You don't generally see it as a strap, but it's kind of an interesting thing to add there. I'm maintaining the difference between this muscle and this muscle. I want to make sure that it's obvious that they're kind of separate pieces of the puzzle. This overlap is really important. This muscle, this gastrocnemius, goes behind. And again, I want to keep that dark separation between the two. I don't want it to get lost. That's about where I'm going to leave the foot. It could use some more work, but we're not really focusing on feet in this drawing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it there. So for me, this is a little, even though I moved the drawing, it still feels a little bit unfinished to me. Like that, I'd almost prefer to just draw the muscles out on that as well. But for now, it's okay. It's certainly better than it would have been had it been moved over. You can see that initial gesture is back there, but it is gone. After I've built the drawing up this much, those initial marks are totally toast. So as long as you have a light hand, you can come in and make your marks lightly. When it's a blank page, it's going to seem like a really bold statement and like it's never going to go away. You saw the gesture at the beginning. It was like, it was chaos. But as I built up the one that I wanted to build up, the other one just fell by the wayside. And if anything, it just makes my paper a little more interesting to look at marks-wise. For this class, particularly for the way we're drawing, don't worry about these stray marks, these things that are happening. You don't want to go in and grind them in as hard as you can to make really dark marks. If you're being light-handed and you make some stray marks, they're going to be gone by the time you get to this stage. By the time you build your drawing up, those marks are unimportant, / they might actually help your drawing. They might actually help the page feel a little more active, a little more like there's movement there. Okay, so that'll do it for muscles of the leg. As always, with these anatomical studies, we're not even scratching the surface. We just kind of stepped up to the surface and took a peek at it. You want to be able to do legs like this in any kind of arrangement. Pick a pose that looks weird and try to piece apart what the muscles are doing. That's all something to shoot for, to aim towards when you're dealing with anatomy. It's important that you see it in position and try to piece together what you're seeing in the model, in an actual model. You'll get better and better at it as you do. Okay, that does it for legs.